Hi everyone, Emma here. Take a look at this gorgeous bracelet. So this is what it looks like, and I have to say that this actually, in my opinion, looks better than the pink one, and I'll explain why. So we take a look at the pink one here. It's pretty, but I feel like the pink gets lost in the gold and vice versa. And I didn't realize what was happening with these tiny little 50 O's that we use to add our crystals with, but you can really see it on this blue one because it's a dark color. It really outlines the diamond pattern in this. So you get the effect of these beautiful crystals, but you also get this kind of 3D effect where there's another layer of beads, which you actually do have your little 15 O's that are up above your netting, that creates another layer, and it just looks incredible. So this turned out really amazing. Now there's just a few things I want to point out. So I did forget to mention a few things about how much I used on this bracelet. So first of all, the 11O seed beads, I used 10 grams. And that's let me see if I have a little container here to show you what 10 grams looks like. So that's this much. So you can see my hand. So that's one of those small containers, and like some of the stores sell them, they're a little fatter than what I have. So let me show you an example of one. So this one's slightly fatter but shorter. Now this one says it has 8 to 9 grams, and actually this has about 9 grams in it when I weighed it. So yeah, it used a whole tube of 11 O's. So just so you know, that's what you need for this bracelet. And then I used the alternating color is called let me get the name again. Pacific. I don't know why I couldn't think of it. Pacific Opal is this light color blue, is Pacific Opal of Swarovski, and the blue is called Denim Blue or Blue Denim. Just in case you want to try and do the exact same one. I have a bunch of different colors, and I think I will definitely be trying them out, but I have a feeling that this is going to be the one. Let me see if we can get some more light on this. Yeah, and let's get some, see if we can focus that a bit. So that is just incredible, incredible. So for the Pacific Opal, or your outline color, you need 58 crystals. For the main color, you're going to need 124. And this makes complete with the clasp, it makes a 7.5-inch wrist. Without the clasp, it's 7.25. So I think I used a 1/4 inch for this, which it's probably more like an inch, the clasp. So it'll be slightly loose, but I think that, for mine wrist, this is a 6-inch and my wrist is 5 3/4. It is a bit loose. You could probably fit 1 or 2 fingers in, but that's comfortable. I can't imagine you'd want it tighter than that, but if you do, be conscious, take away a few of these rows. So there's all your measurements. Now the other thing I want to talk about, and I'll just show this to you while we're talking about the clasp. There are many different clasps that you can put on this. You can put a box clasp. You could even attach a toggle clasp. You could create some beads coming out into a toggle clasp so that you can actually clasp it in. I think that the wiser choice would be a box clasp or one of these. You could always use a magnetic slider clasp, and let me see if I can grab one quickly here to show you. So let me pull out a box clasp to begin with. I have my box of goodies. Look at these guys. It's always fun when I pull these out. So here's a box clasp, and you can see with the size, this would work really well. So you could attach the 3 holes to the 3 peaks here. Actually, I should have done this one now that I think of it. Oh well, we've already got that one on there. Maybe the next one I do with a different color, we'll use this one. I can show you. So you could definitely use different clasps, and it's pretty standard on how to attach them. Let me see if I can find a slider for you. I do have a slider here. Now this is a different color. So this is, I don't think I have any gold ones of these. So this one has quite a few rungs, kind of like this, but you can see. Now it would fit. I don't like the clasp to go further than the bracelet, so let's grab a smaller one of these. So here's a smaller one. So if it was the right color, this would actually fit pretty well. And that's sliders. There's a magnet there, and they slide together. So they're pretty easy to attach, and they're pretty easy to use when you're wearing your bracelet. So this is a good option. I also have one that's a magnetic clasp like this. This would work. Now I do find I like these, but they're a bit heavy, so I haven't used one yet. But this is how they open. The magnet is on both sides, and they kind of cross over each other. So there's that. So let's take a look at what I've done. So what I want to say about attaching your clasp is there is all kinds of videos out there, and there's like Beadaholic has a video, and Potomac Beads has a video, and I'm sure Jill Wiseman has a video on how to attach your clasp. I would definitely recommend taking a look at what they've done and figure out how you want to attach your clasp. The one that I see the most is they use seed beads, so 11/0 seed beads, to attach the clasp. So let's enlarge this and I'll show you what I've done to attach this one. This one I don't like as much. I don't like this part of my clasp showing. You see how there's a bar here? For me, I would like my clasp to be hidden by the bracelet, so all you see is the bar. Now I did opt for doing it on this one because I felt that the bracelet was just slightly too short for it's a bracelet for my sister, so I wanted to make sure it fit her properly with a bit of space. And so that's why I extended it, and I also wanted to show you how you can attach it with the extra seed beads. Normally, and I'll show you on this one. So this one I did kind of a mishmash. This one I didn't add the beads, and this is how it looks. You see the thread, and it looks kind of messy. Now this one's for myself, so I'm not too concerned. I may end up taking this off and reattaching it properly. So this was, again, this was the first time I made this bracelet, and I've attached a bunch of clasps, but I feel like I need to work on my technique. So that's why I'm kind of giving you a disclaimer about this, because I'm not a pro at this. There's tons of videos out there showing you how to do this. So definitely take a look. And so this one, I did attach it below, but I still feel it's not far enough back so that the bracelet comes up to here. But that's how I did it. I crossed it over between the two holes to get it to go further in. So let's take a look at this one. So I've already attached this side, and we'll talk about these 3 seed beads that we started with our stopper bead when we're done the other side. So let's go ahead and take this off. So one of the things you have to be careful of when you're attaching your clasp is to make sure you have the correct orientation of the second half of your clasp. That'll matter more with a magnetic clasp. So basically this, I mean, on this bar, there's no top or bottom, so you don't have to worry. So there's our clasp. And I am going to attach my clasp by these 3 peaks. So you're going to pick up an 11/0 seed bead. You're going to go through your hole. Now that seed bead could possibly go through. Oh, let's figure out which hole we're going to put it in first. So I kind of want to center it. This clasp, if you notice, if you start at the first one here, first hole, it brings your clasp. It doesn't quite line up the holes, is what I'm getting at. So you could probably line it up with the middle one. But this row is not, this part here is not actually your middle of your bracelet. It's more to here because your rows are alternating. So if you look at your both peaks, your middle point is going to be about here. So then you might want to line up that way. So that actually does coincide with the first hole to the first peak. So a lot of just probably TMI, too much information. But you know what? When I was doing these, it seemed pretty straightforward. So I've added another seat. I went through the hole, added another 11/0, and now I'm going to go through that same 11/0 on the peak. And I'm going to go through all of those 3 things 3 more times to secure my. So I'm going to go back through this 11/0. Let me see if I can enlarge this a bit more. So I'm going to go through this 11/0. I'm going to go through this hole and through that 11/0. Then I'm going to go back through the peak again, and I'm going to do that a few times while I'm talking here. So let me need to, I think I just tangled that. Yeah. Let me just adjust this so I can get my needle in correctly. So through this hole, through the loop, and then through the other seed bead. And it is a bit loose, but it'll tighten as we tighten. And just make sure it doesn't get hooked on your peaks like it did there. And then through your 11/0 that's attached to your peak, or to this diamond corner. So that was twice. Pull it tight, and you can see that bead wants to go through the hole. Just pop it back, just like that. Go through one more time. So yeah, this is, I get excited about making bracelets, but the finishing part I find boring. So that's just to do with my attention span. And it's like, well, people have to wear these bracelets, so you do have to pay attention, Emma. That's my inner voice speaking. So definitely it is a skill that I need to work on. So there's the third time. Pull that all tight. So that is not going anywhere. That's nice and tight. So now we want to bring our thread down to this one. So I actually might go back through here. Could go up and around. You know what? I think I will go up and around because I feel like... No, you know what? That's really secure. So let's just, instead of going through that 11-0 at the end, I will bring my thread through all these guys here to reposition my needle. Sit tight. And then bring it up through here. So yeah, definitely take a look at the other videos. Don't do like I do and rush through the clasp. Take your time. The other thing I like to do is I like to use a separate strand for my clasp. It's not really necessary, but I always worry that if the clasp comes off, your bracelet's going to fall apart if it breaks. And this is going to be the area that you're going to get the most wear and tear. So that's my thinking on that. So if the clasp falls off, not a big deal. Your bracelet's not going to fall apart. So let's see where we can position this one. Let's position it on this loop here. So we're going to pick up an 11-0. We're going to come under and through that loop there. And pick up another 11-0. And then we're going to go through this 11-0. Just going to scooch those beads down a bit. And let me go through here to the back. It's easier to see. There. Okay, so we're coming out of this peak of an 11-0. We want to go through this 11-0 through the loop that we went through the first time, and we can actually pick up and go through that seed bead as well. So that's our second time around. Go through the 11-0 of the peak. Pull that tight and just pop your bead down there. That, and we're going to go through one more time. Go up through here. See what I'm doing? Through that loop. Let's look at the front and go into this seed bead. Now, rather than go through the 11-0 on that peak, or that corner, we are going to go in the opposite direction like we did on this one. So we're going to go through these beads here to reposition our thread. So we're going to go down this first one here, through these, through this joint one here. Pull it through. Make sure everything's nice and tight. And then go up these two, go up the 3 get in here through these three like that. So thank you everyone for being so kind with your comments. This is so much fun. I'm so excited to share this bracelet with you. When I saw it, I right away knew it was going to be an amazing design. I did in the first video, I did include the link to the original lady that her name is Natty Design. I included it in the description, so if you're looking for the original video, that's where you can find it. And it's in, I think it's in Spanish, but you know what? I could be wrong. It could be Italian now. Don't ask me why. I can't figure out if it's Italian or Spanish, because they are definitely different languages. But you know what? Most of it's counting, so the numbers are very similar. I'm pretty sure it's Spanish. But anyway, there's some conversation about the colors and these lining up and stuff that it's unless you speak that language, you might not understand it. So that's why I want to make sure to do one so that people could get some of the inner workings of it. So I'm just doing what we did on the previous one. So I'm going back through the 11-0 that's attached to the bracelet and pulling that tight. And this is starting to really feel secure. So go through the 11-0 we added through the loop. So you can see too here how the smoke thread, I mentioned it in an earlier video, how the smoke really disappears. So I am a total convert to using smoke instead of crystal. Okay, go through that seed bead. So that was our third time around, and you can see it's nice and secure. So we are going to tie this off. So I am going to, let's do it through the back. It might be easier for you to see where I'm. So I'm just going to go through a few beads, create a knot, change directions. So let's go through these two here to start with. Got nice and tight. Then we'll do a knot right here. So I'm going under the thread, looping my thread around and bringing it down, putting my finger on it to hold that knot there, and then pulling it through. And nice and tight. So let's see if we can pop that bead down. I just want to check, make sure there's no knots on my thread. Okay, so let's go. I think I kind of want to change directions, but I don't want to show my thread. So let's go to the peak and change directions. Hopefully there's space to do that. You know what? I think I'm going to change directions right now because the peaks have been used quite a bit at the ends, so it's hard to get your needle through. So be aware of that too when you're working. So you can't see it at the back anyway. That knot is totally covered. So let's put one more knot here, and then we'll hide our thread. And I'll show you what to do with that other piece at the other end. So just go through like this, bring your thread around, right down, and pull that through tight, and then let's go in through these guys. See if we can get through a few of them. There we go. And now we'll hide our tail. Tight. Can't see where it went through. And grab our scissors. Cut that. We'll take this off because we're going to need the needle. And you can see how if you don't move your thread around, it starts to shred on your needle from going through. I'll show you here. So I pull it out. So you can see it's getting quite shredded. So try and remember to move your thread around in your needle. That aside. Okay, so let's talk about this piece here. So I wasn't quite sure why she put it, but I think because after at the end she just pulled the stop bead off and it slides right off, and she took all those beads off. So I think it was used to give this space here some form. Had we not done that, this would be really wobbly. So I think that's all that was for. Now you could potentially add another peak there, but you would have to extend your bracelet to create that diamond shape. So I think it just that looks perfect that way. So we'll take those off and just thread our needle here. It's nice and bent now. I hate bent needles. I'm sure you guys do too. So thanks again for joining me this morning. I am so excited about this bracelet. Can you tell? It's so much fun. Just going to close this to get out of the way. So let's take a look at where we can hide this guy. So, and actually it's pretty secure as it is. Let's go down this way, because then we can add a knot. I'm going to go kind of midpoint like that, create a knot, and then tie it off. It's not structural, so I don't think I need to put 2 knots. You know what? We better put 2 knots. No point chincing on that. If I can see where I can get this thread in here. It's really hard to see. There's a camera in front of me. I thought you guys were here. Sit in front of me. Oh, heavenly. Get in there. You know what? I'm going to go to the next bead, because this is not. Maybe I'll try the other side. Yeah, the other side there. Okay, put my thread around. Pull it tight. Pull it through. Pull it nice and tight. And then we'll go through 2 more. Like that. Let's see if we can get this one in a little easier. My needles are really bent now. Okay, bring that around like that. And pull it tight. And hide the thread. The tail. And that should do it. That. Cut our thread. And I was using a thread burner for this, but the new thread burner that I bought is really strong. And when I was doing this bracelet, I had a strand that was sticking out. I'm not sure where the strand, I think it was, I had tied off the knot and left the strand and was going to do it later. And I was laying in bed, well, not laying in bed, but I was sitting in bed finishing this off. Figured, oh, I'll just put the clasp on before I go to sleep. And I went to thread burn it, and the thread melted right through the beads. Like you could see the glow go through the beads. And I was holding it like this, and the beads were like all falling out on my hand, like all through here. A whole like 2 rows came off. But the other pieces of thread were still there, and some of them were still looped. So I was like, okay, don't freak out, just pick them up, you know where they go. And I sat there for an hour re-threading this whole area. Oh my gosh. So don't do that. So that's why I'm not using my thread burner. So this is this lovely bracelet. Let's take a look. So there's the clasp. I like these. These are called fold over clasp. And look at that. So there is your gorgeous clasp. And this lovely bracelet. Move these out of the way so you can see that. So there you go. Definitely try this bracelet. Even if you've never done bead weaving before, get yourself a little container. And you can use Chinese crystals. They're super cheap on AliExpress. You can get them, sometimes they have sales. You can get 100 for 50 cents. They're usually around $1 for 100 of them. Or no, wait, what did I pay? They're super cheap. I've gotten them on sale on AliExpress, so I can't remember exactly. I order them by the 1,000, so 1,000 of each color. So that's why I couldn't remember. And you could see you need 100 and for a total of 182 crystals. So there is this lovely bracelet. So thank you so much for joining me. And there's your clasp. And it looks lovely. So that's a way to extend the distance. If I wanted it to be up to this bar, then I would sew it into the back of my crystals, or the netting part. Should show you the back side here. You could wear it this way too. It's pretty. So there you go. So you just sew it onto this part. But oh my heavens, that is stunning. So this is going in the mail to my sister. There we go. Take care, everybody, and I'll see you in the next video. Have fun. Bye for now. Just